2 Sons of Liberty, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, and Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. But the chronological order of these games, if you thought fucking Devil May Cry was bad, Metal Gear Solid 3, 1964. This is the year the game takes place in, by the way. So Metal Gear Solid 3, 1964. Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, 1970. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, 1974. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, 1975. The Phantom Pain, 1984. Metal Gear, 1995. Metal Gear Solid 2 Solid Snake, 1999. Metal Gear Solid, 2005. Metal Gear Solid 2, 2007, 2009. Metal Gear Solid 4, 2014. And then finally Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, 2018.
Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why all the good movies, all the good games are all chronologically fucked.
Because they make a single game with that story and that story only. So let's take this for example. Not Metal Gear. Let's take I gotta pee. Let me go to the bathroom first and I'll continue that. Hold on.
You're good. Hi, stream. We playing some Devil May Cry while explaining Metal Gear lore. My friend's explaining some Metal Gear lore to me. We're starting off by explaining the game order. And we're going to ask some questions along the way. We're going to be doing some learning. And yeah. It's going to be fun. I'm also doing some eating because I'm really hungry. So, there's that too. Look at that beautiful man go.
Sorry, not open for business yet.
You tell him, Dante. Tell them to fuck themselves.
And I'm already getting calls.
These chips are really good. I'm not going to eat them all. I'm just going to go get some more Doritos, okay?
Well,
I just like these chips a lot.
Help yourself. The toilet's in the back.
Is your name Dante, son of Sparta?
Where did you hear that?
He's a stalker, Dante. Rum. He knows a lot more than you think.
He sent this invitation for you.
Your social security.
Please.
It's gone.
Accept it.
Invitation, huh?
Okay, I'm good till Zach gets back. Alright. Oh, look at Dante looking so stylish, my guy. Oh my gosh. He's just got that Chad walk. The don't fuck with me attitude.
Crazy. Let's rock.
He's very strong. It takes a lot of strength to do that. I wouldn't know.
Oh right, I am back.
Hi Zach. By the way, if I go silent for a little bit, it's just because I'm eating, but I am listening.
That is perfectly fine. So this is going to be both a synopsis and a crucial key point telling point of the timeline from start to finish. So whenever you're ready, I will start this bitch.
Go for it. I might also have questions, so I might also pause you.
That is perfectly fine. You ready?
Go for it.
All right. The Metal Gear timeline, 1918. The Philosophers, an organization that aims to control everything, economics, politics, and power, is created by the joined forces of Russia, China, and the USA. It is not known who the Philosophers are. 1939. During World War II, the Philosophers make a pact that leads to the creation of the Philosopher's Legacy. The legacy contains $100 billion as well as the names of the secret members of the organization. 1946. After World War II, the money of the Philosopher's Legacy got stolen, hidden, and spread across several banks. The records of the transactions were stored in a microfilm. Whoever obtains the microfilm can gain access to the legacy. Of course, Russia, China, and US are all interested in finding the legacy to obtain leading power. 1954. After Stalin's mandate, Russia is led by Nikita Khrushchev. 1961. Russian nuclear scientist Nikolai Sokolov starts working on a new Russian nuclear weapon, the Shagohod. 1962. It emerges that Russia is deploying intermediate-range ballistic missiles to Cuba, one of their allied countries. This is extremely alarming for the USA, since Russia could potentially attack them if the nukes reach Cuba. In the meantime, Nikolai Sokolov starts being scared by his own creation, the Shagohod, and decides to defect to the US. He escapes from Russia with his family, but he gets recognized and stopped in Berlin. President Kennedy demands Russia to dismantle the nukes, but Russia refuses. The US and Russia are placed into alert for an all-out nuclear war. Eventually, Russia decides to dismantle the nukes, but in exchange wants to have Sokolov back in Russia. Sokolov is sent back to Russia to resume work on the Shagohod. The CIA creates FOX, Force Operation X, otherwise known as the Fox Unit, a group used to accomplish special secret operations. Fox is led by a man named Major Zero. In order to provide tactical support to Fox, Major Zero creates the Shadow Military Group XOF and puts a man named Skullface as its lead. Now we're getting into the very first game. That wasn't even part of a game. Metal Gear Solid 3, 1964. The US sends the Boss, their best agent, to Russia in an attempt to find the Philosopher's Legacy. Fox sends their secret agent Naked Snake to Russia in the attempt to find and recover Sokolov and destroy the Shagohod. The mission is called Virtuous Mission. Throughout the mission, Naked Snake is supported via radio by other members of Fox, Major Zero, Signet, and Paramedic. While being close to accomplishing his mission, Naked Snake is stopped by his mentor, the Boss. It seems like the Boss has defected to Russia, becoming a traitor to the US. Russia is militarily represented by the Spetsnaz GRU, their military force. A rebel group of the Spetsnaz GRU, led by Colonel Volgin, aims to oppose Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev. The Boss gives Russia an American nuclear head, which is used by Colonel Volgin to destroy a Russian research facility. In this way, it looks like the US attacked Russia, a very ingenious move set up by Russia. 1964. The US is now required by Russia's President Khrushchev to prove that they are not involved in the nuclear attack set up by the Boss in Volgin. They therefore decide to send Naked Snake back to Russia with the goal to fulfill Khrushchev's request to get rid of the Boss, Naked Snake's own mentor, and Colonel Volgin. The operation is known as Operation Snake Eater. Major Zero decides to secretly deploy Skullface, head of XOF, to assist Naked Snake during the mission. Nobody else knows about Skullface's involvement during these events. The KGB puts the Fox unit in contact with two NSA agents who defected to Russia in 1960, Adam and Eva. Adam will help Naked Snake getting some intel and eventually escape. At the rendezvous point, only Eva shows up, saying she was sent in Adam's place. Naked Snake and Eva are attacked by a military unit led by Ocelot. Remember that name. Ocelot takes Eva as hostage, but eventually defeated and forced to retreat. Naked Snake and Eva find out that Volgin is in possession of the Philosopher's Legacy. On his mission to find the Shagohod, Naked Snake faces and defeats all the members of the Cobra unit. But the boss, the pain, the fury, the end, the fear, and the sorrow. During an interrogation being held by Volgin, the boss and Ocelot, Naked Snake is hit by a bullet and loses one of his eyes. Naked Snake destroys the Shagohod and defeats Colonel Volgin. What Naked Snake doesn't know, though, is that Eva is actually a spy from the Chinese government. To keep in mind that is also China wants to put their hands on the Philosopher's Legacy. Eva eventually manages to obtain the microfilm, but it is later revealed that the microfilm was a fake. The real one was obtained by Ocelot, a triple agent that works for the Philosophers. Ocelot was in fact Adam, but no one knew. Ocelot gives the legacy to the US, but only half of it's recovered. It is assumed that the remaining half is in KGB hands. Naked Snake discovers that the boss did not defect the US, but rather was following her orders all along. She was ordered by the government to gain the trust of Volgin by giving him the nuclear warhead, and her goal was, of course, to gain access to the legacy. What they didn't expect, though, was that Volgin would actually use the nuclear warhead on the Russian research facility to incriminate the US. At that point, the US revised the boss's missions. She then had to play along in her role and wait to be killed by Naked Snake in order to save the US from being incriminated. She was a hero of her country, forever remembered as a traitor. The US awards Naked Snake with the new title of Big Boss. Being forced to live in the shadow, Skullface develops hatred for both Major Zero and Naked Snake. Ocelot talks on the phone with the KGB chief director discussing the role of Nikita Khrushchev. Khrushchev is thrown out of office soon after. Angered by what the government did to him and the boss, Big Boss leaves Fox, shortly followed by Major Zero, the head of the military group. Major Zero, Ocelot, and Big Boss use the legacy to reorganize the Philosophers. They form the Patriots and make Big Boss the face of the organization. The goal of the Patriots is to fulfill the boss's dream of creating a unified world. Major Zero starts spreading stories about Big Boss, some of them true and others false. Tension between the two arises. 1970. The Navajo Nation of the U.S. is rich of uranium ore that could be used for nuclear weaponry. A Navajo man called Code Talker starts researching microbes capable of deactivating uranium. Code Talker also studies the remains of the Cobra unit member, the End, and discovers the parasites that enhanced his abilities. These parasites exist in several forms, one of them being the vocal cord parasite, which is capable of infecting people speaking a specific language. The Philosophers try to replicate the parasites but eventually abandon the project. During the Cold War, a Soviet woman dies giving birth to her son. One day this kid, named Trejit Rebinok, acknowledged his psychic power after managing to read his dad's mind. He discovers that his dad hates him to death. Angered, the kid kills his dad, burning down his entire village. That's going to come back, trust me. 1971, the former leader of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev, dies of a heart attack. 1972, Major Zero secretly starts a project called Les Infantes Terribles with the goal to create clones of the greatest soldier of all time, Big Boss. To do this, he uses Eva as a surrogate mother. The twin brothers Liquid Snake and Solid Snake are born. They are considered imperfect clones, but a third perfect clone is produced, Solidus Snake. All the clones are given accelerated aging genes in order to avoid them being used or revolting against the Patriots. Big Boss eventually finds out about this project, which culminates in his total outrage. Big Boss believes that Major Zero and the Patriots misinterpreted the original beautiful idea of the boss. Big Boss leaves the Patriots. Major Zero renames both himself and his organization as Cypher. Big Boss creates his own mercenary military group called Militaires Sans Frontières. Their goal is to provide military force for anyone who needs them, regardless of nations or ideologies. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, 1974. It emerges that the Costa Rica is being oppressed by an unknown military army, possibly in possession of nuclear warheads. Big Boss and Militaires Sans Frontières are asked by the Costa Rican forces, represented by Galvez and Paz, to intervene and stop this military army. They offer Big Boss an operative plant in the Caribbean Sea called Mother Base. Big Boss accepts and goes to Costa Rica, supported via radio by Militaires Sans Frontières sub-commander Kaz Miller, another big name. Big Boss gets confirmation of the presence of the nuclear warheads. Big Boss meets Amanda, the leader of the resistance, in Costa Rica. She confirms that the opposing forces are backed up by CIA. Her brother, Chico, gets kidnapped by a drone. Big Boss convinces her to join Militaires Sans Frontières and goes in mission to rescue Chico and track down the nuclear warheads. Big Boss rescues Chico, who also joins Militaires Sans Frontières. Big Boss proceeds in his mission to find the nuclear warhead. It emerges that Hot Coldman, yes, that was his name, Hot Coldman, a CIA agent, wants to use the Metal Gear created by scientists Huey Emmerich to launch a warhead and test its effectiveness. Coldman attacks Huey Emmerich, who is later helped by Big Boss. Emmerich reveals Coldman's plan. His military army is in possession of a Metal Gear, codenamed Peace Walker, capable of selecting suitable targets for nuclear retaliation without the need of human involvement. The AI of this Metal Gear, developed by the scientist Dr. Strangelove, is shaped following the personality traits of the boss. Big Boss has to stop Coldman. Huey Emmerich joins Militaires Sans Frontières. Coldman tries to hack the AI of the Peace Walker in order to make it attack Militaires Sans Frontières. It is revealed that Galvez, whose actual name is Zadornov, always worked together with Coldman, but is now intended to betray him. Zadornov wants to use the Peace Walker to attack Cuba, the Russian ally, from a U.S. base. This will incriminate the U.S. and split the North and the South, giving the strong advantage to Russia. Zardanov shoots Coldman and forces Dr. Strangelove to reprogram the AI to attack Cuba. In reality, he reprograms it to fake a nuclear attack towards Cuba and making the attack seem Russian-driven. The U.S. is ready to fire back with their nuclear war power. The Peace Walker, driven by the will of the boss in AI form, sacrifices itself by drowning itself in a lake, destroying the fake signal and preventing a nuclear war. The mission is completed, and Big Boss, together with the help of Miller and the scientists Huey Emmerich and Dr. Strangelove, go back to Mother Base and start working on their own Metal Gear called Zeke. Paz steals and takes control of the Metal Gear Zeke, claiming that she is taking it back to their leader, Cypher, and accuses Big Boss of having taken the wrong path, since he parted ways with his former Fox commander, Major Zero, 2 years earlier. Paz asks Big Boss to join them, but he refuses. Paz plans to use the Metal Gear to launch nukes at the U.S. and frame Big Boss and Military Sans Frontières for the attack. A fight starts and Big Boss eventually destroys the Metal Gear Zeke. Paz is hit by the explosion and is supposed dead. Strangelove leaves Military Sans Frontières as her AI-developed research is not necessary anymore. Miller reveals to Big Boss that Cypher is Major Zero. Big Boss tells his troops that they will serve under anyone regardless of nations and ideologies, and they would soon build a nation they can call their own, called Outer Heaven. It is revealed that all of these events were orchestrated by Cypher, who knew Big Boss was the only one capable of building Mother Base and growing such a strong military force. Their goal was to eventually take control of Mother Base, which is why Paz tried to convince Big Boss to join Cypher. Skullface, the leader of XOF, meets Code Talker, who is in need of funding for his microbes research. Skullface, without the permission of Major Zero, funds Code Talker's research, but forces him to study the microbes' potential in nuclear research. The research leads to the development of different microbes, holding several enhanced properties useful for military purposes. Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, 1975. The International Atomic Energy Agency sends a letter to Military Sans Frontières requesting an inspection of Mother Base. Big Boss and Kaz Miller think this inspection is actually maneuvered by Cypher in order to locate Metal Gear Zeke's nuclear warhead as revenge for what happened the year before. Big Boss and Miller discover that Paz survived the explosion and they plan to kidnap her in order to gain intel on the real nature of Cypher. They send away Chico in an expedition to find his sister, but he sneaks out and tries to go and rescue Paz on his own. He is soon taken prisoner and held in chains together with Paz in Camp Omega. Chico is subject to terrible tortures by Skullface, the leader of XOF. Chico eventually ends up giving to Skullface all of the information about Military Sans Frontières and Mother Base, confirming the location of the Metal Gear Zeke. Skullface makes Chico send an SOS signal to Mother Base. Skullface reveals that Paz is the only Cypher agent who met Zero face to face, and is therefore decided to torture her to find his location. His goal is to liberate himself from Cypher. He inserts 2 bombs in Paz's body, anticipating the likelihood of a rescue attempt. Big Boss and Miller understand the SOS signal might be a trap, but nevertheless decide to start a rescue mission. Big Boss finds Chico in a state of panic. In order to avoid dragging someone wanted attentions, Big Boss knocks down Chico and calls a helicopter to send him back to Mother Base. He then proceeds with his mission and eventually finds and rescues Paz, bringing her on the helicopter. On the helicopter, Boss finds out that Paz has a bomb in her body and, thanks to the help of a medic, extract it from her. Once they get close to Mother Base, they discover that it is under XOF attack. Mother Base collapses, and it appears that Big Boss, Miller, and the medic are the only Military Sans Frontières survivors. On the helicopter, Paz reveals that she has another explosive in her body as she jumps out of the chopper and explodes. The Military Sans Frontières helicopter collides with an XOF chopper, which results in Big Boss entering into a coma. Everyone thinks that there are no survivors. Major Zero contacts Eva and asks her to bring Big Boss, Miller, and the medic to a hospital in Cyprus. It seems like Huey Emmerich allowed XOF to organize this attack. Huey is eventually kidnapped by Skullface and forced to join XOF and work on their new Metal Gear. In the meantime, Dr. Strangelove recovers the Peace Walker's AI and starts working under Major Zero on the AI network he plans to build. Skullface, who forced Paz to reveal Major Zero's position, sends him a package containing a pin belonging to the boss, but infected with the parasite. Major Zero, accidentally pricking himself with the pin, becomes infected. This is Skullface's personal revenge for always being kept under Major Zero's control. From this moment on, Ocelot takes care of Big Boss and Medic, both in a coma after the plane crash. I don't know why I said plane crash, it was a helicopter crash, but whatever. 1976. Liquid Snake is abandoned by Cypher and sent to England. There is no trace of Major Zero. 1979. During the Rhodesian Civil War, Frank Yeager kills a young couple. Discovering that they had a daughter and feeling deep regret, he decides to take care of her as a sister and names her Naomi Hunter. She will never know that Frank Yeager killed her parents. The Soviet Union invades Afghanistan. Miller, funded by the U.S., trains the Afghan resistance. After the Mother Base incident, Miller lost a leg and an arm. During the war between the two factions, Soviet soldiers acknowledged the brutal powers of Quiet, an assassin later on hired by XOF. Huey Emmerich, now working for XOF, marries Dr. Strangelove. They have a kid and name him Hal. Huey uses Hal as a guinea pig for testing the new Metal Gear Sahelanthropus's AI. This results in a fight between him and his wife, Dr. Strangelove, who eventually ends up being locked inside the AI pod and dead via suffocation. Tretiv Rebenek, the psychic kid born in the early 70s, is captured by Soviet forces and brought in a lab where they research individuals with paranormal abilities. In the same facility, they are studying the comatose body of Colonel Volgin, whose desire for revenge against a big boss kept him alive. The presence of Tretiv fully awakens him, transforming him into the Man on Fire. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, 1984. Big Boss wakes up from the coma. He now has a prosthetic arm and a metal fragment in his head. XOF get to understand that Big Boss is held in the hospital in Cyprus. Their goal is to eliminate Big Boss and every trace of their involvement. They send Quiet to get rid of Big Boss. While Quiet tries to strangle Big Boss, she is interrupted by another patient called Ishmael, who eventually sets her on fire. Quiet bursts into flames, falling out of a window. Big Boss, with the help of Ishmael, tries to escape from the hospital. The unexpected arrival of Tretiv and Man on Fire, who wants Big Boss dead, unintentionally sabotages the XOF mission. XOF fail their mission, but manage to hide their involvement in the events. Big Boss, now also known as Venom Snake, manages to escape thanks to the help of Ocelot, who sends him to Afghanistan. His mission is to rebuild Mother Base, leading their new military group called the Diamond Dogs. Quiet undergoes medical parasite treatment, which allows her to stay alive and develop the ability to breathe through her skin. Venom Snake finds and rescues Miller, who has been kept captive in a Soviet outpost. Venom Snake is sent in mission to find Quiet. After defeating her, he captures her and brings her to Mother Base, where she is held prisoner. Venom Snake finds and rescues Huey Emmerich, but they are attacked by Metal Gear Sahelanthropus, which is being controlled by Tretiv. Venom Snake eventually destroys parts of the Metal Gear and manages to retreat back to Mother Base. In the meantime, Quiet starts helping Venom Snake during various missions, and the two seem to create a bond. Venom Snake, in the attempt to find the leader of a child soldiers group, ends up in a facility where they are conducting human experiments. After a short encounter with Skullface, Venom Snake is attacked by the Man on Fire and Tretiv, but eventually manages to escape. Venom Snake finds Liquid Snake, known as Eli. His real name is Eli something, I forget his last name, but he's Liquid Snake. Now leader of a children's soldier group, Eli is brought to Mother Base. Eli is extremely angry at his dad to the point he unsuccessfully tries to kill him. Venom Snake and Ocelot schedule DNA tests to see if Eli is his son. The tests are negative. Remember that. Liquid Snake, otherwise known as Eli, is legitimately the son of Big Boss, but yet the tests are negative with Venom Snake. We'll get there, though.
Fucking Gotham nerds.
We'll get there, trust me. A terrible epidemic spreads throughout Mother Base, causing many members of the staff to die. To find a cure, Venom Snake goes on a mission to find Code Talker, who has been used by Skullface to develop the vocal cord parasite. The parasite is said to infect only adult hosts who speak a specific language. Venom Snake finds and rescues Code Talker, who gives him the Wolbachia bacteria, a cure to the epidemic. Code Talker believes Skullface's intention is to use the parasite to wipe out all languages except for English as an ethnic cleanser. Skullface reveals that his plan is to follow the boss's vision of the world, and he wants to achieve this by silencing the world. He actually wants to use the vocal cord parasite to infect whoever in the world speaks English. Eli is taken under psychic control by Tretiv in order to enact his vengeance against Venom Snake. Eli manages